Live. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Let's Talk Fishing video podcast. My name is Jay Angel. I'm going to be your host for this evening. And first thing I'd like to tell you is the Northern Illinois Sports and Outdoor Show. Guys, this is coming up. This is going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. All of my friends are going to be there. It's going to take place January 13th through 16th of 2022. That's going to be at the Lake County Fairgrounds in Grays Lake, Illinois. That's 4 days of sports shows, guys. Go on into the Grant Rods booth. And those guys will put some of the best rods you can possibly imagine in your hands, and tell them Jay sent you. Now, I'm very excited to have a good friend of mine, a guy who's, I've been interviewing this guy since I started my podcast, and I've interviewed him probably 5 or 6 times. I have none other than Calvin Duvalle of Duvalle's Cajun Charters in beautiful Delacroix, Louisiana. How you doing tonight, Calvin?
Pretty good, Jay. How you doing?
I am healing. I finally got to fish again. It just feels great.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I know you had been sick for a while, and getting back out in the water, that'll cure a lot.
Actually, we already have a comment. CJ Houle Holy says, "Hello, guys. Hey, how you doing there, man? Great to have you here.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, that's great to have people who tune in. Well, anyway, so how have you been doing out there in Delacroix, the redfish capital of the world?
Oh, it's been really good. It's not our normal fall. Going into winter, the trout finally started to move in, but I think the hurricane had a lot to do with them being a little late. But the redfish, usually we catching slot reds. Lately, we've been catching some hammers. I'm talking 20-pound plus fish. We've caught a few of them close to 40 pounds. And
40 pounds?
In 2 foot of water.
A 40-pound fish is going to make a wake in 2 feet of water, huh?
Oh, yeah. They tear it up.
And tell me, how long would a 40-pound redfish be?
It all depends. One thing about Delacroix, we get heavy weights because they have a lot of bait. So we'll actually get shorter fish that are heavy, very heavy, where I've fished all the Gulf Coast, and I've got some inch fish in other places that were, 20, 25 pounds. Here, a 40-inch fish could be 35 pounds.
Well, okay, yeah. Because, I like to tell people that too. I should have known the answer to that question. I'm 5'9", and not every guy who's 5'9" weighs 250, So, and it's the same with fish,
Oh, yeah. It's like a buffet out there for them where we at.
Yeah, it's like where I'm from, the Chicagoland area, the land of great pizza. I wasn't raised on nature's goodness like you guys with, crabs and shrimp and redfish and
yeah, but you don't see too many skinny guys from where I'm at either. We like to eat.
You don't. And that's probably all those gumbos and boudin.
Oh, yeah. Everything's got a roux.
Yep. Everything. I love the food down here too, though, Calvin. And that's why I am how I am. But man, so 40-pound redfish, 40 pound. I have never caught a redfish that big.
Yeah, we caught, like I say, in the last couple of weeks, we've caught a couple of them that were, my boga goes to 35, and I've bottomed it out a couple of times.
Must have taken some time to get that thing in, huh?
15, 20 minutes. We're using razor rods, which is actually one of the best rod I've ever put in my hand in the inshore series. I'm using a medium action, and they are just, they have a really good feel, and they have enough backbone to handle anything that the Louisiana marshes can throw at it. I've caught 100-pound, garfish on them, fishing reds, catch 40-pound redfish, all the way down to 12-inch speckled trout.
So I think you use the same series, don't you?
Yes, I use the same series, the inshore 7-foot, but I think that looks like a medium heavy. I use a medium.
Medium. Oh boy, I don't have my glasses.
I'm just looking at the diameter.
It's a 7-foot medium.
Yeah, but
you see that? You see that, guys? This is a cork handle. which, Calvin will tell you, you do need superior sensitivity in order to feel the bites, particularly when you're walking it down when the tide is changing.
Oh yeah. I mean, we fish in a lot of shallow water, so we're using, a lot of, I use the full Horseman corks. We use a lot of live shrimp, live bait. So, I mean, it's sensitivity. We could give up a little bit, but I've jigged with these rods, and they are some of the most sensitive. They're a fantastic rod. I can't say enough about them.
Well, when I fish the shore at Grand Isle, you have to cast practically across the canal there on Highway 1.
Right.
And I mean, the tide's changing, and so, it's whipping through that canal, and you have, 120 feet of line out, and you
Right.
still have to be able to differentiate between a pinfish bite and the thump of a redfish.
Right.
So you're walking it down, and it's exciting, because
I'll tell you another thing about these rods. I mean, you don't have to throw them hard to make them go far. They load up really well, and they will launch. I mean, I've seen them cast 75 to 100 yards.
Well, if you have the correct technique, yes, I've seen these things. They catapult.
Right. Like I said, they'll launch it. Yeah. And I mean, it is a rod that is designed for the inshore saltwater series, but I've used them for bass. I've used them in everything I've fished now, and they work well with everything. I mean, now granted, Razors does make rods that specifically for bass and crappie and stuff like that, but the inshore series has worked well for everything I've fished since I've been using them, and I've been using them, I guess, 1.5 years, 2 years, and I've had a lot of rods in my hand, but these are the best I've ever used.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I completely agree with that. So what are you? Dang, I flubbed that one up. What presentation? And right there is where you can get more information about razor rods, guys. Look at my crawler down there, razrrodz.com. What are you using to catch these redfish?
Mainly we're using like a full Horseman cork. And the reason I like the full Horseman, it makes a really good popping sound when you pop it. It actually sounds like, fish hitting bait. So it will attract fish. We fish in a lot of heavy grass cover, and we fish outer grass edges. So when you pop it, you'll draw those redfish from under the grass. But we're using live bait, some dead bait. A lot of times I'll throw, popping a good bit. I'll use a Voodoo Shrimp, which is a artificial shrimp made by Egret Baits. Phenomenal lure for saltwater fishing. I tell you what, love it. Bass love it. I've used it for bass, and they eat it up.
Have you used that for bass in inland waters?
Yes. But okay. Redfish, I tell you, redfish and speckled trout, it's the closest thing to a live presentation bait, as far as a shrimp that I've ever used.
But usually you use live shrimp, correct?
Most of the time, yes. With clients, and the main reason for that is there's not a fish in our waters that won't eat a live shrimp. Even on, when the tough days, we throw, windy days, it's something you don't have to work a lot because the bait does most of its own presentation. So, I mean, in my, and Jay, you a guide, in our business, we do get a lot of customers that aren't avid fishing.
Yes, we do. We do.
So, I mean, we want to make sure that they have the best experience they could have. And the live bait makes that a better experience.
I could just see someone who hasn't really fished a whole lot. You got to bite, and they just start reeling, and all of a sudden that redfish takes off. Oh my gosh!
I had some guys from Oklahoma not too long ago, and the first redfish that was hooked was 25 plus pounds. Jeez. And we in 2 foot of water, and that fish is stripping drag like, we in the middle of the Gulf. And he's like, man, I think I got a submarine. I said, we don't have enough water to have a submarine.
No, submarines need more than 2 feet of water.
Right.
but I'm sure it felt like that. I mean, if you have never, I had the when I started fishing redfish, I had the advantage. I have caught salmon. I mean, thousands of them.
Right.
I've caught big catfish. I mean, big catfish up to 40 pounds. You know, well, being a writer, you know, I got to fish with a lot of different people for a lot of different things.
Right.
And I fished all over the United States and Alaska, you know, and Canada. So, but still, when I started fishing redfish, the first time I hooked into one, I could not believe it. And that's what I tell people from the north, you know, don't come down here and fish redfish because they're more addictive than heroin.
It is. I've had a lot of people that are fishing for the first time and have been back many times since.
Man, yeah. Then you know,
it's an addictive fish to catch.
And a lot of people up north don't eat fish, but when they eat a redfish, they're gonna start eating fish.
Well, most of our fish down here are very, very white, flaky meat and mild. I mean, so whatever you're using to cook with is what gives it a lot of flavor. I mean, our fish aren't very fishy tasting. I mean, I've eaten a lot of, you know, I'm not a big, my wife loves salmon. I've eaten it. I'm not a big fan of it because to me, it's fishy.
It is fishy.
You know, and I'm used to our fish from here. So it's not, I mean, it's good. It's just not one of my favorite fish to eat.
If you ever get up to Alaska and actually catch a salmon, eat it because it's a completely different taste.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I got some clients from Alaska and they keep trying to get me to come up there and fish them. And one day I'm gonna get some chance to go up there.
Well, my best buddy from Alaska keeps telling me he's going to come down here. I'm like, well, if you come down here, I'll call Calvin months in advance and we'll try to get the Alaska boy out to show him what Louisiana is all about.
Yeah, we'll go put him on some redfish in about 2 foot of water and he won't know what to do.
Yeah, because he's used to catching, you know, halibut in 150 feet of water. And it's like trying. Have you ever hooked onto your anchor rope and tried to bring it? And tried to actually bring it off that's what fighting a halibut's like.
I want to do it though. I definitely want to go catch one.
I would tell you, please go do it. But that's what fighting a halibut's like. It's nothing like. But the salmon are a lot like your redfish.
Okay.
They don't give up. They're not like largemouth bass. They don't give up. They just keep fighting you all the way back to the boat.
I guess the best thing from what I've caught, I could rate a redfish to is like a big striper. Now, the difference is what I see with a redfish and a striper is a striper, you get that good initial run. And the fish is mad and this and that. But then after that initial run, they kind of give up. I mean, I hate to use the word give up, but they'll go a redfish until he's in a boat on ice or back in the water, he's mad. He's not giving up.
And, you know, one thing I could say is, you know, the common carp, and the common carp gets a real bad rap.
Right.
But it's like a common carp that actually tastes good. It's not all full of mud.
It actually looks like a carp if
it looks a lot like a carp.
Mm-hmm. In
fact, I've had my friends from up north say that. Oh, that's a carp.
Excuse me.
Man, that ain't a carp.
Yeah, they're phenomenal fish.
But I grew up catching those because, you know, those were in the local waters that I fished. And I could walk those when I was a boy. So, you know, it was fun to go down there and tangle with those big fish like that.
Hey, look, I'm one of them guys. I could be sitting on a 5-gallon bucket on a shoreline catching bluegill. As long as I'm catching a fish or out on the water, I'm loving what I'm doing.
Yes. I'd still rather be in Delacroix, though, catching redfish.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal fishery.
It is. It's, you know, I couldn't believe it. The first time I went out there, I was actually with Frankie Filet. That was the first time I fished in Delacroix. And my first cast, I'm sitting there looking at that popping cork. And he's like, you got to pop it. And I'm like, it's already going down.
Right.
No, it's not. He looked over. He's like, yeah, it is. I said, yeah, it's Frankie, that bobber's going upstream. I'm going to let him take it. Don't let him take it.
Frankie's a character.
Don't let him take it.
Yeah, Frankie's definitely a character.
Man, I started reeling up to get all the slack out of the line. Bam! Holy crap!
Right. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I fish a lot of fish. To me, there's nothing like it.
That's so much fun. That's just so much fun. So what else do you use? You use any topwater for?
I do. It's kind of hard to use top water with clients because you don't really, unless it's somebody that fishes with you a lot, you don't really know their skill level. And a redfish hitting a topwater bait is not natural. A
Really?
redfish's mouth is on the bottom of his
I
face.
have noticed that, yes.
They're not designed. They're actually designed to be bottom feeders, but they do feed on the top. They feed in all aspects of the water, all water tables, but they're really designed to feed on the bottom. So when a redfish hits a topwater bait, he's got to do one of two things. He's either got to be upside down and roll on top of the bait, or he's got to come completely out the water and land on top of it. Well, most of the time when they do that, and that's what they do most of the time, they miss the lure. So people set the hook because they see the action, and I'm usually diving out the way, diving in the bottom of the boat. I'm a big guy to be diving in the bottom of the boat. It's kind of hard, and I mean, it's just natural. It's hard to get somebody to, when they see all that commotion, not jerk. The best thing to do is just twitch the bait 1 or 2 times and then let it come to a complete stillness. Because usually what'll happen is if they miss it coming out the water, they'll come back underneath it and roll on top of it. And that's when they grab it.
I have actually caught redfish reeling in my shrimp and, skipping along the top of the water and had redfish, come up and grab it. And I've fished so much, I just stop it.
Right.
When I see that happen, and then it starts going down, and then they think they killed it. So they hold on.
Well, we've been having a lot of the fish, the big fish that we've been catching, hitting the corks. I mean, all my corks have teeth marks in them.
Really?
Because the fish, what it is, these really big fish school up a lot, and they travel with more than one fish. So when they see something that's edible or what they think's edible, it's a competition of who's going to get to it first.
Oh, what an awesome fish!
Oh yeah, it's when they're doing that, it's fun. But what happens a lot of times when you get in these big schools of these big fish, you hook one and you either get broke off or the bait gets knocked out of their mouth because whatever's hanging out his mouth and being pulled on, the other fish are attacking. They're trying to get it from him.
Smallmouth bass will do that.
I've only caught one, and I caught him this year, with Mr. Bryan up in Table Rock.
Oh, yeah, you got the fish for Rick LaPointe.
Yes, I got the fish for Mr. Bryant and Rick LaPointe. That was a phenomenal day. It was great time.
Did you guys go fishing for spoonbills?
No, it was a couple of weeks too early.
Oh, man. I have never caught I hooked into a spoonbill one time fishing the Mississippi River, and that was by accident.
Right.
And, I was using 6-pound line, so I didn't have it. It was right on top of the water. I cast it out and didn't see the bills,
Right.
And I cast it out, and the guy who owned the boat said, "Don't cast over there." Oh man, right. I got to retie. Man, but you caught smallmouth bass on Table Rock Lake with Rick LaPointe.
Yes.
He's a legend, man. That guy has won 5 boats in his tournament career.
Oh yeah, like I say, I mean, it was the first time we fish a lot of shallow water. I mean, deep water to us is 10 inshore, now the guys that fish offshore fish deep water. But it was the first time I really got to see sonar, a GPS sonar work to fish with. I mean, we use it sometimes to locate, in the wintertime looking for schools of fish. But, I mean, we could actually see the fish sitting on top of rocks and jig down to them and watch them eat. It was great.
So you got to use his, what the heck, Garmin Live Scope?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, you guys, what an experience. You're fishing with Rick LaPointe, Brian Stickles of Razor Rods, and Calvin Duvalle.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a really good time.
I bet you caught more than one smallmouth.
We only caught the one smallmouth that day. It was still a little early. I mean, I have to go on vacations like that when I'm at my slow time of year. So when I got up there, actually, Rick had told us he hadn't caught a smallmouth in a month and a half because the water was too cold. And the first fish I hook is a smallmouth.
Well, you probably caught some spots and some largemouth.
Yeah, we caught some largemouth, some spots. We caught, plenty of those. Once we figured, just like anything else, you got to figure out the pattern for that day. And once we figured the pattern out, we caught plenty of fish.
I bet also that was an experience for you with clear water.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sitting there looking at 30 foot of water. I can see the bottom. I'm like, wait a minute. I can't see the bottom in 2 foot of water where I'm from.
And that is so cool to see a smallmouth bass coming up with old bronze back coming up in 20 feet of water. And you can see it struggling. And sometimes they come up and they're going like this, and then they jump and they do a backflip and go right back into the water.
I gotta say that's a fighting fish. I mean, the one I caught was about 3.5 pounds, and that's a fighting fish for 3.5 pounds.
That's a good one. In my life, I have caught a couple of 6-pound smallmouths. Actually, Rick LaPointe had me speechless when he told me about an 8-point-something pound smallmouth. I couldn't talk, Galvin. I just couldn't. He was like,
yeah, he sent me some pictures not too long ago where they caught some hammers.
The man's a legend. I can't say, and he's earned that distinction. He's
definitely good at what he does. He's definitely, and I didn't get to meet his son, but we talked to him a couple of times that day on the phone, and he seems to know what he's doing too.
Well, he grew up with a man with a dad like that,
right?
And the man's a legend. So guys, Calvin's phone number is right up here. If you've never caught a redfish, please put that on your bucket list and go on down there. Redfish and the marsh is not a place that you can just, rent a boat and go out and throw out a bobber and catch fish. You might get lucky, you might land on them, but Calvin knows what to look for. He's been down there his whole life. And the most important thing of being a captain is getting your folks back alive. And the marsh is not a place to play around in if you don't know it, because there's a lot of places where it looks like there's water, but there really isn't.
Right. Yeah, that's a definite, especially in the wintertime.
Yes.
we get a northwest wind, and it looks like they got 3 foot of water, and they don't have 2 inches of water.
Yes, and you know what to look for, so that you're not going to be fooled like everybody else gets fooled. And then Calvin has to put on his other hat and go get Cito, pull you out.
Yeah, a lot of people have used Cito. I mean, I've used them a couple of times, but not to get pulled out the mud, just motor issues or something like that. But yeah, I've seen people every winter getting pulled out of the mud by Cito.
Yes, and it's just no fun. So first couple 5-6 times you go out there, I would recommend taking a guide. I used to tell people when I guide, if you spend one day on the water with me, I'm going to take 3 years off your learning curve for this particular lake. And that is even if you know how to fish, because every lake has its own little nuances that you have to be able to look for. And
see, our biggest thing down here is, the marsh changes from day to day. It used to be years ago, I mean, when we had the big barrier islands and stuff, but every time, we have a storm, it changes the marsh, and we have to, it's kind of hard, we have to not relearn the marsh, but relearn how to fish it a little bit. And the fish move because it moves. I mean, there's an island I fish or used to fish that's no longer there from the last storm. I don't know where it went.
Oh, shoot. Ida changed things up here, and I'm 80 miles north of the coast.
Right. Yeah, Ida was pretty bad.
That was, I think I told you I drove through Grand Isle.
Right.
What a shame, man.
The worst one I've been through was Katrina, and Ida was Katrina's bad little girl.
Yeah, but up here where I live, I live a little bit north of Denham Springs.
Right.
Ida was worse for us than Katrina
was.
Right.
Yeah. Ida actually had more wind. Katrina had more water.
Okay.
Well, what Katrina came off the coast of Mexico right into the Gulf as a Category 5. And it pushed the Category 5 tidal wave. Well, by the time it got to Louisiana, it dropped to a Category 2. But it still had a Category 5 tidal wave. where Ida was a Category 1, 100 miles off the coast, and then kicked up to a Category 5. You know, so it didn't have time to push that big tidal wave.
Well, thank God for that.
Oh yeah, it would have been worse.
Thank God for that. You know, and that was just a 1-2 punch for me because I was already, you know, in still trying to recover from the surgery, and
Right.
I didn't want to have to sit here and for however long without, you know, that's what my wife says. Louisianans aren't afraid of hurricanes. We're afraid of not having power for a long time with 95
in the middle of August. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You know, I can deal with the wind, the rain, and the flooding. It's, you know, just constant heat is tough.
And one thing I like that I saw you did, you were cooking up those monster pots of gumbo.
Oh yeah, me and my wife had talked, and I mean, I got a big jambalaya. You know, we got a bunch of stuff, and we fed, I guess, about 2 different times, about 300 people each. You know.
Wow, jambalaya. Okay. Well, you know, thank you for that. I didn't even partake in that, but that's just a cool thing that you did.
Yeah, I mean, we were fortunate that we didn't get too much damage. So, you know, a lot of people did, and you know, when Katrina, I did have a lot of damage, and a lot of people helped me. So it's the least I could do to try to help others.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And anyways, man, so do you have any shout outs you'd like to do, Captain?
Well, like I say, I mean, Razor Rods is, you know, probably one of my biggest sponsors, plus friends. I mean, we became friends. And, you know, Port Orleans Brewery down here in New Orleans, you know, they're phenomenal people, got really phenomenal food. And if somebody gets on board and, you know, they like to drink a couple of adult beverages, you know, I usually have a few in the boat for when we get back to the dock. You know, they want them now because, you know, just like anything else, if I give them to them on the boat while we're out there, insurance purposes, it kind of prohibits me from that. But while I'm cleaning your fish, you're more than welcome to, you know, to drinking. I have quite a few different, you know, flavors that they produce. You know, it's kind of a microbrewery, small local microbrewery in the area. And it's really good. And if you have it in the New Orleans area, they have phenomenal food also.
Okay. You know, so 4 Horsemen?
And 4 Horsemen corks, I can't say enough about the corks. I mean, they're very, very durable. They make a sound that just, I mean, it sounds like fish hitting, you know, and it does attract fish. I mean, I've actually watched fish swim by the cork, you know, with a live shrimp on it, not feed, and let him get 8-10 feet away and pop the cork, and they turn around and come and eat. So it's definitely a game changer when it comes to the way we fish the marsh.
If I can get this, if you guys want to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I should have brought some stuff up. That's a full. That's actually that's a George Spivey. That's a
really.
Yes, that's got the flexible wire. Yeah, that's
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a high water. They work really similar. Just one has a rigid wire, one has a flexible wire.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to try. I just want to show the clips what a.
Yeah, no, and they work very similar. And they, but you know, I like the rigid wire a little bit better. I've had some, you know, I've used them both, and you know, both of them work very well. I prefer the 4 Horsemen.
Oh, I have so much stuff anymore. All right.
My problem is a lot of my, you know, I put my boat, you know, in the shop for a couple of days to do some PM on it, and most of my stuff's still in the boat.
Yeah, I can't find those. I know I have a couple of them. I fish with guys, and they give me their sponsors stuff, you know.
Right.
I know I have a couple, but anyways, guys, that's what popping cork looks like. This isn't the right brand,
but it works very similar. Like I said, that one has a flexible wire, where the Four Horsemen has a rigid wire.
Oh, geez. You see this thing right here? It pops against that, and it pops against these. Makes that noise.
And a redfish is kind of like a bass. I mean, you don't see it as much, but they have a big lateral line. And anything that makes vibration or sound will drive them crazy. A lot of times they'll just eat it because it's aggravating them.
They're mad. Yeah.
Oh, they all mad. They all born mad. I don't know. I have never caught one that wasn't mad.
They'll try to bite you.
Good thing they don't have teeth like a shark.
Yes. Or a bluefish.
Oh, yeah.
Blues will come in trying to bite you.
Right.
But they don't have human teeth like a sheep's head either.
No, that's a pretty cool fish, too, if nobody's ever caught one. Really, really good eating.
You know,
I love sheephead.
They're hard to clean, I think.
We do so much of it. I mean, I could show you how to clean them, and it would save you a whole lot of time.
Please do. Please do.
I really need to do like a video on that to show people. Because, I mean, at the dock, I show people a lot of times how to clean them. Mm-hmm. And they're very appreciative. Because
do you use an electric fillet knife for that?
I use both. I mean, electric knife takes a lot of pressure when you clean a lot of fish off your wrists and hands. And I've had corneal surgery on both hands. So I do use, but to be honest, I rather clean fish with a regular knife.
Okay.
But because of the pressure, and I do use an electric knife. And on big reds, I use the Fillet-Zol. It's really a Sawzall with a blade that was designed by Fillet-Zol to fit into a Sawzall.
Wow.
So but it takes a lot to clean a fish with that without messing them up. It takes a good bit of practice.
Yeah, you better be. You better do that right.
It's all power, and don't slip and hit yourself because you go.
That's what I was thinking. You better do that right.
Right.
Because Sawzalls don't play.
No. Yeah, they're not forgiving at all.
No. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Guys, if you want to go red fishing, it's going to be an experience of a lifetime. Call up Calvin Duvalle, Duvalle's Cajun Charters.
What I want to do is if anyone calls from the show, just let me know that they heard about on your show, and I'll give them a 10% discount.
Well, there you go. Thank you, Calvin. Yeah. Well, also, Captain, I'd like to thank you for your time. I know that you're a busy man.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for that. And I'd like to thank everybody for watching the Let's Talk Fishing video podcast. With that, I'm going to bid all of you a good night.